Alejandro Garnacho is one of the most confusing players I've ever seen. Sometimes he's capable of moments like this.
Another attempt at it though, Garnacho does strike a goal, it's a brilliant finish.
But he can also do this.
No way!
Who was that?
He wasn't.
Oh!
He wasn't. Go on, tell me who it was. Garnacho.
His time at Chelsea has been anything but smooth. Sure, he has had moments where he has looked really good, but there have been other times where he's looked like blonde Michael Jackson. He's very focused on scoring goals, and after spending multiple seasons in the Premier League with Manchester United, he has the confidence to cut inside, run at defenders, and take shots. The problem is, that isn't always the best decision. A lot of times he ends up losing the ball by taking low percentage shots or dribbling into crowded areas when a teammate is in a much better position.
In my opinion, his final ball lets him down way, because of his pace, and he's got a wee bit of a step. He gets himself half a yard or a yard on defenders, but too many times he picks the wrong pass or makes the wrong decision. And again, I don't like the way he plays the game.
He just has a lot of tunnel vision. Like, everyone can see the talent, the speed, the confidence, the willingness to take on defenders. But at some point, that potential has to turn into something more. And that's the question people keep asking about him. According to The Athletic, a couple of years ago, Ryan Giggs talked about Garnacho at an event in London. Giggs said that when you're a winger, you might try to be your defender 10 times and lose the ball 9 times. But the one time it works, you can win the game. His point was pretty simple. If you keep trying and you're not afraid to fail, then you will eventually succeed. That fearless mentality is definitely something that Garnacho has. That brother will run at defenders again and again, even if it doesn't work.
He's the type of player that comes on and 75, 80 minutes when everybody's knackered and there's a bit of space and he uses his pace, and he might do something, he might not.
But for a starter?
At Chelsea anyway, as a starter, no.
The problem is that this approach only works if the end product eventually comes. Because right now, Garnacho runs at defenders 10 times and he loses it 10 times. There have still been flashes. He has gotten himself on the score sheet multiple times. But when you look closer, not that many of those goals came in the Premier League. The others came in cup competitions or against weaker opponents. I guess he found his level against some of those whack teams in the FA Cup. For a player who was signed to make a difference, that just isn't enough. Pundits have even noticed a drop in his confidence. That's unusual for a player who built his entire reputation on being fearless. Now, he's still a young player. That's easy to forget because he has been playing in the Premier League since he was a teenager. At his age, inconsistency is normal. Many great players needed time before their decision making and understanding of the game improve. But there's another side to this debate. Some people wonder if Garnacho believes he's better than he actually is. Like, confidence is very useful for attacking players, but arrogance without the performances to back it up can quickly make people turn against you.
I'm not a fan of Garnacho. I'm just not a fan of Garnacho from a lot of angles, not just on the football field. I don't like his demeanour and his attitude. And one of the things that we were always
Big
told,
Billy getting Hoddy McGee.
one of the things we were always told was, don't do anything to make the opposition or the fans or anybody who's trying to beat you, don't do anything to encourage them to try hard. And he's the type of guy, just by the way he plays the game and his demeanour, makes everybody who's against him want to make sure he doesn't do right.
His time at Manchester United ended badly after a fallout with Ruben Amorim, who eventually pushed him out of the club. Like, at one point, Amorim was straight up laughing at Garnacho.
So you're very close with Alejandro. Are you hopeful that he could end up staying at the club, or do you not know?
Alejandro is a really good player.
That situation raised a lot of questions about Garnacho's attitude and maturity. To some extent, I get Garnacho's confidence though, because as much as people criticize him now, you have to remember that at one point, he was a very highly rated youngster. Garnacho's journey started in Madrid, where he played in Atletico's youth system. Even at a young age, he stood out. He had quick feet, good dribbling, and played with a lot of confidence. Coaches and scouts could see that he had something special. Then came the big leap. In October of 2020, at just 16 years old, Garnacho left home and crossed over to England. Manchester United had spotted his potential and paid Atletico around £420,000 to bring him into their academy. It was a pretty bold move for a teenager, leaving Spain for one of the biggest clubs in the world. But Garnacho had a dream to follow in the footsteps of his idol, Cristiano Ronaldo, and make it at United. He was going to a bigger stage where the pressure was higher and all eyes were on him to see if he could turn that raw talent into something real. At Manchester, it did not take long for him to show his skill. In the under-18 team, he was one of the standout players. The moment that fans really started to notice him was during the FA Youth Cup run in 2022. He scored a brilliant solo goal that was even nominated for United's Goal of the Month.
Garnacho! More inspiration from Alejandro Garnacho.
It was an early sign that the kid loved the big stage. That Youth Cup campaign was his breakout. Garnacho scored 5 goals in the tournament, including 2 in the final, that helped United win the trophy for the first time since 2011.
Alejandro Garnacho on the big stage again. He scores! They'll consider themselves unfortunate. There's another unforced error there for Hammond, and this is Garnacho. And still, he scored again. His 7th goal of the Youth Cup run. He is the star of the Youth Cup run, and he has definitely won the Youth Cup for Manchester United here tonight.
He was only 17, but he was already proving that he could handle the pressure. At the end of the season, he was named the Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year, which is basically United's top youth pride. With all this hype, fans wanted to see him in the first team. Their wish came true in April of 2022 when Garnacho made his senior debut against Chelsea at Old Trafford. It was only a couple of minutes at the end of the game, but it was special. His first step into senior football. By the 2022-2023 season, Garnacho was knocking on the door. At first, Erik ten Hag was careful with him, but by October, the youngster had improved so much that the Dutch Heisenberg had to play him. He got his first senior start in a Europa League game against Sheriff, and Ten Hag actually praised him for his improvement, saying he was very happy with the progress and maturity that Garnacho was starting to show. It was clear by then, Garnacho wasn't just some flashy talented player. He had the potential to actually be a good first team player. Once he got his foot in the door, he started to get better and better. In November of 2022, he scored his first senior goal in the Europa League against Real Sociedad, and the assist came from his idol, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Now Ronaldo finds Garnacho. He's in here, the young man. Can he finish? Oh, brilliant!
For a kid who grew up copying Ronaldo's celebrations, it was a dream come true. Fans loved it, and it showed that Garnacho once again wasn't scared of the spotlight at all. Just 10 days later, he made his mark in the Premier League. Against Fulham, he came off the bench and scored a 93rd minute winner.
Get this back, Garnacho. Garnacho with the attempt. Garnacho's got the winner. Alejandro Garnacho.
United had been up and down that season, like Lily Phillips' neck, but here was an 18-year-old dragging them over the line. The United fans went crazy, and Garnacho was very quickly becoming a fan favorite. By January of 2023, he showed that he wasn't just about scoring. In the Manchester derby, he came on as a sub and set up Marcus Rashford's winner to beat City 2-1.
And another chance for Garnacho. Turns it across Rashford.
Again, another big moment, and it proved that he could play in the biggest games. Of course, his first season had bumps too. In March, he injured his ankle against Southampton and was out for weeks, but he worked hard to recover, and by May he was back, even scoring in a 2-0 win over Wolves to end the season on a high.
And he checks back, checks forward, gets it in! Alejandro Garnacho! Welcome back!
All in all, Garnacho's debut season was a success. He chipped in with goals and assists, and more importantly, he showed that he had the confidence and quality to play at the top level. United rewarded him with a new contract until 2028, a clear sign that they believed he could be one of their key players for the future. Oh, that has aged like milk. The 2023-2024 season was when Garnacho went from a talented youngster to an actual regular first team player. Over the summer, he swapped his old number 49 shirt for the number 17, a number with a lot of history at United. Expectations were higher now, but he quickly showed he was ready. In November, he scored the goal of the season, an insane bicycle kick against Everton. It actually went viral, and later won the Premier League Goal of the Month and Goal of the Season. At just 19, Garnacho had already produced a strike that most fans will never forget. A few days later, he added his first Champions League goal in a 3-3 draw at Galatasaray.
Fernandes gives it to Garnacho! Goal. Manchester United hit the front! What a wonderful passing move!
By the winter, he was flying. On Boxing Day, he scored twice in the comeback win against Aston Villa. Then in February, he bagged another brace in a 3-0 win over West Ham. He wasn't just a sub making cameos anymore. He was starting games, and actually helping win them. The stats showed how special his season was. He became the first teenager since Michael Owen in 1999 to score multiple braces in 3 different Premier League matches. That put him in legendary company and proved he wasn't just hype, he was actually delivering numbers. The highlight of it all came in the FA Cup final against Manchester City. At Wembley, in one of the biggest games of the season, Garnacho scored the opener. United went on to win 2-1, and Garnacho became the first teenager since his idol Cristiano Ronaldo to score in an FA Cup final. He was also only the second Argentine to ever do it. That goal sealed his first major senior trophy and showed that he could perform on the biggest stage. The summer got even better for him. Because of how well he had played for United, he got called up to the Argentina squad for the Copa America. He had already made his senior debut in 2023, but now he was sharing a dressing room with legends like Lionel Messi. Argentina went all the way and won the tournament. Yes, Garnacho didn't do much in the tournament. It was like what Mendy did to win the World Cup with France. But the fact that he was there to begin with those legendary players at such a young age, showed just how highly he was rated at the time. He came home with a winner's medal, and by just 20 years old, he had an FA Cup and a Copa America to his name. On the club side, his numbers looked really good. Even though United's league campaign was disappointing, Garnacho was actually one of the few bright spots. He was involved in 21 goals across all competitions, making him the team's most productive attacker that season. He played in 54 matches, more than any other player in the squad, and only 3 outfield players racked up more minutes than him. Across the whole Premier League, he was the only under 21 player logging in that much time. Proof that the coaches trusted him week in, week out. By this point, United fans really felt that he was one of their own. This talented kid from the academy who was showing up on the biggest stages. His fearlessness, his pace, his swagger, he had the look of a star in the making. But as the next season showed, the ride wasn't always smooth. For Garnacho, the 2024-2025 season was where things got really messy. He actually started the year on a high, scoring in the Community Shield against City and again in the league against Southampton. It looked like another step forward, but United's season quickly turned chaotic. The results dipped, and by late October, his manager, Eric 10 Weeks, was sacked. His replacement, Ruben Amorim, came in with new ideas and a stricter style. For Garnacho, that change didn't work out well. He hit his 100th appearance for United that same month, which should have been a big milestone, but soon after that, he was left out of the squad for key games, including a derby against City in December.
But it looks like Garnacho will not be part of his plans.
Reports said that Amorim wasn't happy with his discipline or how he fit into the system. And for the first time, Garnacho found himself on the outside looking in. At the same time, fan opinions around him started to turn. In November, a video showed a supporter shouting abuse at him while he was signing autographs. A few days later, Garnacho scored but didn't celebrate, with Bruno Fernandes later saying it was because he felt some fans had lost faith in him. It was a huge change from months earlier when he was being hailed as a hero, as the next Ronaldo. Add in moments like him storming down the tunnel after being subbed out, and the attitude talks around him started growing louder. Ironically, in the middle of all that, Garnacho picked up a huge individual award, the FIFA Puskas Award, for his bicycle kick against Everton. But instead of it being a moment to be celebrated, it actually showed how strange his situation was. Here's a guy getting an award for scoring the best goal of the year, and yet he can't even make it into the first team for the biggest games of the season. By spring of 2025, it was clear something had to give. Rumors of a transfer started to heat up, with Chelsea and even Napoli linked. Garnacho said publicly he was happy at United, but behind the scenes, things were breaking down. Reports claim that he was training away from the first team because of a rift with Amorim. So in late of August 2025, the story took its final twist. United ended up selling their golden boy to Chelsea for around £40 million, plus a sell-on clause. That fee made him one of United's most expensive academy sales ever. In fact, I believe it's United's biggest profit in a sale since selling Ronaldo to Real Madrid. For some fans, it was shocking to see such a talented young player leave, especially to a rival. Others felt the club had cashed in at the right time given the drama. From academy darling to FA Cup hero to a player booed by his own fans, in just a few years, Garnacho had experienced the full roller coaster at Old Trafford. When he arrived at Chelsea, it was supposed to be a reset for him, a fresh start. Yet his form has continued to be up and down. Now initially he looked good. He got multiple goals, assists. Maresca really trusted him on the left wing. The fact that he started him in big games like against Benfica and Liverpool when Maresca was under pressure shows just how much the Italian believed in Blondie.
He's doing very well on the ball, but he's doing very, very well off the ball. And he knows that to play with us, he has to be good on the ball and off the ball, otherwise he's not going to play. And we are very happy with him in this moment.
For Chelsea, they saw a young Premier League ready player with real upside. They had been after him for months, because when Mudryk got suspended after testing positive for a banned substance, they knew they needed a new left winger. They had already brought in Jamie Gins from Dortmund, but they also wanted someone who could make an instant impact. Garnacho was doing that. For a while, he had added a spark that had been missing on the left, but that spark lasted shorter than me in the bedroom. His performance versus Karabag feels like ages ago now. Under Rossinier, he had some nice moments, like the assist against Villa and the brace against Arsenal, but the output has not been there consistently. For every good performance, he's had 5 to 6 mediocre ones. Chelsea's squad situation also doesn't really help him. Pedro Neto and Estevao are ahead of him in the pecking order, with Gins also competing for minutes, although that guy's been disappointing too. When everyone is fit, Garnacho is fighting just to be one of the main rotation options. Now, fans and analysts, they're split on him. Some people still believe he's an exciting young winger who simply needs time and the right environment to grow. Others think the hype around him was always exaggerated and that his technical ability and decision making just isn't good enough for the very top level. Now, the thing is, he has certain qualities that are fantastic. A lot of people focus on his bad decision making and the frustrating moments he has in games, which they're not wrong about. He has a lot of bozo moments, but there are also a lot of qualities to his game that people don't talk about enough. One big thing is his work rate. Even during the period where he was clashing with Amorim and struggling in front of goal, he never stopped running. He would track back to help defensively and then sprint forward the moment United won the ball back. For a winger, that kind of effort matters a lot. It's honestly surprising, because remember when there was that photo of him holding a vape? Somehow this guy still has endless stamina. He's also very durable for the most part. Being fit and available is a skill on its own, and Garnacho has shown that. He has mostly avoided serious injuries and recovered quickly when he has gone hurt. For a player so young, that kind of durability is a good sign of the future. Another thing people forget about is how much experience he already has. I guess they forget it because his decision making is suspect at times, but you have to remember that this guy has played hundreds of senior matches. That's way more than most players his age. He's played in the Premier League, the Champions League, domestic cup finals, and even international tournaments. He's learning, but all of that experience this early in his career is still valuable. Then you remember the fact that in the 2023-2024 season, he reached double digits for combined goals and assists. And before turning 20, he already had over 20 goal contributions in a single season. That's not something that many players his age manage to do. He's also scored in different ways. Sometimes it's a simple tap-in like his idol Homelander. Other times it's a long-range curler, a solo run, or even a bicycle kick. That variety shows that he's not just one-dimensional when it comes to finishing. And then of course you have his fearless attitude that might be his biggest strength. Even when things are not going well for him, he doesn't hide. He still wants the ball and he still tries to make something happen. I guess sometimes it's not a bad thing for your winger to have a concussion. If things start to click for him, all of these qualities will easily make him a Chelsea fan favorite, and they will appreciate him a lot more, even if that haircut still needs work. But despite these qualities, Garnacho remains a puzzle. He has shown flashes of brilliance, but too often he follows them up with some frustrating performances. Sometimes he looks like a future star. Other times he looks like a player who simply hasn't developed. Now football, it's an impatient business, especially at a club like Chelsea. At some point, potential will not be enough. Now Garnacho still has time to figure things out, but Chelsea want to see something soon. Now one guy who's already figured it out is Enzo Fernandez. To see how good this guy has been for Chelsea, you have to watch this video right here.